We want to welcome you to Q&A with Doctors A and J, brought to you by Alterman and Johnson, Family Chiropractors. Hello everybody, I'm Dr. Franca Alterman with Alterman and Johnson Family Chiropractors. In today's episode of Q&A with Doctors A and J, we continue to bring you some of the most relevant things of what we consider the chiropractic lifestyle. And today's guest is Laura Bennett. Laura is a retired nurse midwife from the Navy, and she spent more than 20 years of her life working with moms and babies. And even though she's retired, she continues to have a passion to help moms and families and to empower them to have better lives, better health, better relationships. So maybe you want to tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in order to accomplish all of this, and welcome to our episode today, Laura.
Thank you, Franca. I really appreciate you asking me to participate in your offering. This community offering is really inspiring and really is what is needed to help people right now navigate the uncertainty and volatility that's going on. And you know, what you're doing is really important. So I want to thank you.
Well, thank you for that. So tell us a little bit about how you empower moms and families right now.
Yeah, so thanks for asking. So what I'm doing right now is I am an executive and professional coach and a mindfulness, resilience, and leadership trainer, and as my second career. And I support people in all areas of life now, kind of bringing some of the same midwifery skills to the entire community that come from a holistic practice. So even though I'm not practicing as a midwife, what I decided to do, I was really inspired when, call to action here, when I learned that there are women in our country and around the world who, during this COVID crisis, are facing the uncertainty of whether or not they will be able to have their expected support people with them in birth.
Right.
Yeah. And, we know that, it is important for women to be able to have the comfort of people who love them and, feel like they're in a home-like environment. But, I shouldn't say but, and what I know and what I have learned over the years that in our Western culture, we don't really do an awesome job across the board at helping mothers understand what their full power is to show up for in their pregnancies, their labor and births, and new parenthood with, understanding that everything they need, they already have. It's within them, and it's just a matter of accessing those skills. That's not to say that support isn't really important, but I think that if we do a good job at helping moms really understand what they can bring to the table and understand some different ways that they can bring support people with them, whether it be through empowering recordings or FaceTime, some visualizations, those type of things. Even if they can't have everybody they want with them, that physically that they can be with them and feel more empowered.
That is such a hopeful way to think about this, because you're right. I think I saw a quote one time that said, there's a big secret in our culture. It's not that birth is hard, it's that women are strong. And it goes to what you're saying, that we have everything we need inside of us, and women have been having babies for millions of years. Obviously, we can do this, but knowing that there's an uncertainty about how it's going to go. I heard the other day that some hospitals are asking moms to just automatically let the hospital do an epidural as soon as they come in to give birth, because of the possibility of having to have an emergency C-section. They want to have the mom ready. Anyway, it's just really scary for moms to think about all these different things.
Yeah, so when I hear that from you, I really think about, you know, what messaging that is sending out, whether it's true or not that that's what they're asking them to do, and whether it's what a woman chooses to do or not. You know, that's okay, but what is important that you understand that and are prepared for when verbiage that sort of sometimes can really create our reality and how we feel about ourselves really isn't necessarily true, that we have some, you know, we have the choice to think a little bit differently, but it takes some skills development. So what I've done was, I created a Facebook page called Birthwork.org, and every 4 days a week, Eastern Daylight Time at 10 a.m., I'm going online to share sort of, you know, the background, the neuroscience, the mind-body science around how to use your mind and body and prepare yourself through mindfulness techniques and positive psychology and just sheer preparedness. You know, it's sort of like, you know, a basketball player going up and having that deliberate practice of shooting those layups and making those layup shots, you know, so that those muscles are in place, that muscle memory, that mental memory is present for them during the big day, that we're, you know, really sharing practices similarly for not just moms, but anybody who wants to join in. I actually have a lot of healthcare providers that join in to support themselves that way. But, and then the recordings. So I share a little bit about the science of what's going on. I share some practices that are good to support ourselves and help prime our brain for I can, you know, the things that I can do, and approach from a positive approach. You know, support, we can use our mind to control our physical responses that can show up as feelings of stress and anxiety. And we can also use our body to help calm the mind. And these are really important skills to be able to develop so that you can sort of call them up whenever it's necessary.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. I'm going to join your page. What is it called again?
So it's facebook.com/birthwork.org.
Birthwork.org. Okay. Okay. And so you request entrance to the page?
Yes, as long as you like and follow the page, you should be, if what's true, they say what's true for Facebook happens, you should be notified when I go live. But pretty much if you're sitting on my page at 10 a.m. today, I was a few minutes late because I changed my location, didn't have a great connection, but I'll be there. It's Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 a.m. doing some live practices. You can ask questions during that time. And then the recordings will be up there. If you haven't already joined in, you can start from the beginning and hear a little bit of the background if you'd like, or you can start in the middle and go back and listen to those things.
Wow,
You know,
what a great service. That's a great service you're providing, Laura.
Well, thank you. I'm actually, you know, I'm honored to be able to help in the way that I can.
That's excellent. Okay. So is there anything that you can share with our audience right now that they could, without having to go to your Facebook page and looking back at something that you've already done, something that they can utilize right now to help them navigate these tumultuous times?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. So what's important about what I'm sharing is about how important it is to recognize where we are, where our attention is, and how we're feeling throughout the day, because about, you know, as much as half of the day, our waking hours, our mind really isn't present in the moment. So really beginning to check in and recognize, hey, where am I right now? Am I off in worries and planning or remembering? Those stress really hides in those spaces of distraction, and we are distracted an awful lot And sometimes it's just a matter of us sort of judging, you know, hey, this is really hard. I wish I didn't have to do this. I wish I could go here or there. That sort of, you know, our mind has a negativity bias where we're, you know, constantly searching for the things that threaten us. So some things to do to sort of prime you to be aware of what's going on is really just to drop in at any moment. And I invite you to, you can even do this with me, is get nice and tall. I invite you to assume an erect and dignified posture, one that invites calmness, alertness, and grace. And you can have your eyes opened or closed, whatever is comfortable for you. If you have them open, just don't be looking around because our attention goes where our eyes go. And really begin to just sort of check in with your breath, following your in-breath for the full length of an inhalation. And really feeling what it feels like to breathe in this moment. So following that in-breath, noticing when that in-breath turns to an out-breath, following the full sensations of breathing on the out-breath. And again, when there's that short pause between the out-breath turning into an in-breath again. Now, as you check in with your breathing, you might notice that already your mind has wandered 1 or 2 or 3 times or more. That's simply what our mind does. And again, our task here really is to train our attention to be where we want it to be. So when your mind wanders and you notice, simply know that that's a mindful moment. Don't judge it or follow the thought. Just simply come back to the sensations of breathing in this moment. Another focus you can use is dropping your attention to your feet. Sometimes the breath is not comfortable for people to follow, so simply be feeling grounded, your feet on the floor. Just simply noticing all the sensations that are present. And nothing is good, bad, wanted or unwanted, pleasant or unpleasant. Just simply noticing what's there and being in that direct experience. And when your mind wanders, come back to that sensation. And now I invite you again to just briefly return your attention to your breath. And another practice is, I'll share with you, we're going to breathe in for the count of 3, hold for the count of 3, breathe out for the count of 3, and hold for the count of 3. Oftentimes we hold a little longer. For pregnant mamas, I like to just start with 3. So what I'd like you to do is take a nice breath and breathe in and then out, and then breathe in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3. And then just breathe normally and just check in with how you're feeling. And I'd invite you to do a couple of other things, just a couple other things to share from positive psychology. You know, positive psychology is the study of optimal performance, what keeps people healthy and well. So there's a well-studied activity called, you know, it can be called 3 blessings or what went well or 3 good things. What is really nice is, and it can be particularly helpful if you have difficulty sleeping at the end of the day, to take time to think of 3 good things that occurred in that day. It could simply be having a cup of coffee that you enjoyed, and then taking in for that moment, as you think about what was the good thing, maybe even writing it down. That's even more powerful, to write down, hey, why did this happen? It happened because I took time for self-care and I enjoyed that cup of coffee. And how did it make me feel? Made me feel more present, made me feel ready to start the day, made me feel like I wasn't rushed. And really then soak in that feeling. It's really important to, whenever you have a positive experience, to hold that in awareness. And because that helps sort of wire your brain and prime you for feeling a little more joy. And it also helps you look for the good things in the day, rather than, like I said, our mind is sort of biased to look for things that might be uncomfortable for us or cause us some threat, and it wires us to think differently. And then one more thing that I would encourage you to do is really just think about, what are some things that I'm doing right now that aren't supporting me? Typically, we all have a couple of things. If we're staying up too late, or we're on social media too much, we're spending too much time in the news, we're choosing sugary food, whatever it is. What are 2 things that really aren't supporting you feeling at your best right now? And how can you either reduce or eliminate those? Can you set that intention? And while you're doing that, what are 2 or 3 things that would support me right now? Could it be, snuggling up with my partner, or wrapping up in a blanket, or petting my dog, going for a walk. One thing that's good is getting up in the morning and getting sunlight on the back of your eye. Getting exposure to sunlight is really helpful for you first thing in the morning. Reducing your screen time an hour before bed. Those are just some suggestions. But what are some things that you can take stock on that are helpful for you that you can add? So those are my takeaways for today.
Very, very nice. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that the more tools that we can give these mamas that are anxious right now, not everything resonates with everybody. So if we give a variety of things, maybe they can take 1 or 2 of those things.
Right. Yeah. That's why I share a lot. I share a lot of different ways to practice. And even the one practice that, I might share for that day might sit well with you one day and not the other, and that's okay.
Yes.
I also have posted some other resources on my page that can be supportive of anyone, and I'll keep adding. Excellent.
Okay, Laura, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview and to teach this mindfulness opportunities for people. And I will be seeing you on your Facebook page. I'm very curious to check it out and tell my patients about it.
All right, great. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. You stay healthy and well.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.